Hello. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Leanna Walden here, helping people free themselves, free their sexual selves. So great to be back. I have been away for a while, just doing all sorts of things, living life. I hope you have been living life and sexually exploring your life, opening up, learning things about yourself, watching all my videos because we got some new material coming up now. So I left off talking about BDSM. So today I'm going to talk about the B in BDSM, bondage. Okay, so we're going to get into that. A little bit about what is it, how can I get started, why is it actually a really great way of sexually exploring as a couple. All right. But first, subscribe to my channel if you have not, and if you have been here and you've subscribed over the last while, thank you for joining in. So great to have you. Love having you here. Love having everybody here. Love seeing my numbers growing, which is really awesome. And coming up with lots of really juicy things to talk about. Not only that, but in a few weeks I will be launching my How to Have a Threesomes program. Okay, so if you want to get in before the launch, it's a little bit cheaper, 30% off, so you can get in and get the program early. But it will be available from, I believe, July the 27th. It will be open and ready for you to check out and investigate. It is really for, you as a couple. What do you need to do in order to get connected to the possibility of a threesome, all the way to what do you do post-threesome. So some of the content is in here already, the YouTube. You can check through the YouTube, or you can go right to the program, buy the program, and then you have it all put together in one package. So let's see here. The bondage in BDSM. This is a really great entry and foray into sexual exploring with your partner. Maybe you have done something like this before, where one of you tied the other one up to the bed. That is part of bondage. Anything to do with tying up, of binding somebody, of controlling them through a bondage kind of a way, a tying up of some sort, and introducing sexual content to go along with it, right? So, many of us play with it, maybe think that maybe we would like to have it happen, and maybe we've even done it before, but we take it to just one level of maybe tying somebody to the bed, right? But you can take this as far as you want. The bondage in BDSM is a deep exploration of being somebody that's in control of another person. And so there's that exploration of being in control, completely and totally in control of another person, tying them up, tying up their hands, tying up their body to their hands, tying up their legs, tying them to things, tying different parts of their body together, restricting their movement, controlling their movement, really having the power over the movement of their body or the non-movement of their body, or maybe tying them to something so that they can't move, so that you have the control. So it's a really dominant, submissive kind of a play. The person receiving the tying is really going through a letting go process, a releasing and a surrendering, a deep surrender. Because if you're being tied up, you have to really surrender and be, you have to really allow yourself to be, you have to really trust that other person, right? Really trust them in what they're doing. Hi. So it is really all about like the surrender, the full surrender of the body to another being. And that can be scary. That can be very scary, because you have to like really fully trust. You have to be a couple that's doing this that are really connected to each other, or you have to really trust that person that you're going into this experiment with, exploration with, right? Because they're going to be constricting you from movement, and you're not going to be able to move. And so you want to be able to know that that person the control that they're taking is a loving, tender gentleness, right? It's all, this is all, BDSM is all about loving, tender gentleness, even when there's pain involved, even when there's deep constricting of the body in a bondage sense. You could be bonded around your face so you can't speak or you can't see, your body's all constricted, you can't move. And as the one receiving goes into that, it's a very deep healing kind of a modality within the sexual, because you are giving yourself up. You're letting go of any control that you could possibly have. And it is really a beautiful, enlightening experience. So mostly remember before you go in that you are really connected to that person that you are having this experience with. I went into a lot of bondage play with my first husband, and as you go into this exploration as well, it's like a little bit at a time, a little start, a little slow, a little test at a time. So maybe you start with just tying your partner to the bed and see how they feel and see how it makes you feel, and always checking on each other, right? I suggest very highly that before you do any kind of bondage stuff, that you create a safe word. So you can even just do green and red. So green is like if they ask you something about how you're feeling and you want to keep going, you're okay, green, I'm okay, green. But red is like stop, hard stop, right? Or it could be another word that you want to use, but a word that is a hard stop. I don't want to do this anymore. We have to stop it immediately, because as you do this kind of bondage stuff, it can bring up a lot of deep emotions. It can bring up past traumas. It can bring up information that you haven't worked through around the sexual before, and it might start bubbling up, and then you're feeling like overwhelmed, right? You have to be able to know that you can stop immediately. So start with that safe word, so you are both really clear on that. And then go into the exploring, gentle, loving, caringly. The benefits of this, the benefits of going into bondage as a couple for sexual exploration, is that it's very sensual and it brings you really, really present to each other. Okay, you have to really watch the subtleties of your partner's body. You have to be in tune with the person. You have to, see how each of you are doing as you make your way through, and you kind of fall into this vortex, this beautiful, sensual, slow vortex. The other thing it does is it slows you right down, right? Because this is not a rush thing. This is a slow, fun experiment. And you might tie up someone's hands, and then you might tie up their feet, and then you might gag them, or you might, open their legs and tie their legs open, or there's all sorts of different things that you can do. And then you might want to just leave them there and watch them for a while and see how they're feeling. You might want to stimulate them while they're in that bondage state. So it's a slow tease, a slow foreplay that is very sensual and very exciting. It can be very, very exciting if you are really cued into each other, tuned into each other. The other benefit that it has is that it brings on beautiful, deep orgasms. So what the restriction does, the tying up, and I'm going to speak as in a man tying up a woman, and so she's going into the one who's going to surrender, and he's going into the control of the tying. The binding holds the energy in. Okay, whatever it happens to be, even if it's a small like hand binding, it might be a full body binding, it might be to the bed. Whatever the binding is, whatever the restriction is, it's holding in the energy, right? When you have an orgasm, you're releasing energy. Your body moves, you create a lot of movement, and the orgasm releases from the body. But when you're bound, it holds it in, and it starts to build within that holding in the body. It builds within the spaces that you're holding, because you might be, it's a sexual game, right? You're not just binding, you're touching the body in different ways, stimulating, exciting the body. And Maybe their genitals is close in your mouth, or different things like that might be happening. So you're getting stimulated, you're getting excited, and but that energy, you can't release it because you're tied up, you're bound up, and you're just holding it and holding it, and you're trying to, like, you're feeling the energy, you're feeling the excitement, you're feeling the bliss, but you're not releasing it yet. So the slowness creates the building of that tension, the building of the orgasmic energy, so that when the ties are released, when you are released, when you are untied, then the energy gets released, and then then an orgasm can take place. Sometimes orgasm is bigger than you could have ever imagined. And at the same time, you're still being stimulated. So it's a real play. It's a really sensual game, the bondage game. I strongly recommend that you each take turns doing bondage, and one doing the bondage, one doing the surrender, and switch it, so you can both really feel what it's like to be in that place of being tied up, and to be that place of being in control and titillating the person who's tied up. It's a really great form of sexual exploration for a couple. So let's see. Yeah, it's just I think I've said a lot about what I want to say. When it comes to what can you use to tie people up, I mean, you can start with anything, with a necktie, with a strap from a nightgown, a rope that's hanging around. But, ultimately, if you really get into it and you both really love it, then you start to search out items, rope, potentially, that's feels really good on the body, very sensual on the body. From there, you can start learning a little bit about shibari, which is the Japanese tying techniques. There's different ways you can tie up the body with different knots, different placements of different knots. There's a lot of people with stuff online right now talking about shibari, or Japanese rope tying. It's become more popular even in fashion, right? So there's all these crisscrosses of fashion and bathing suits and clothes. This is like emulating the different kind of tying that you can do on the body. And some people are actually creating the ties over their clothes as a form of fashion. So there's access to learning about that. If you start this bondage exploration with your partner, and it's really exciting and you both really like it, then yeah, you can start to dive in deeper. There's information out there to the point where you can go to shows where people are tied up, and you can see men or women just being tied completely up and strung and hung from the ceiling in different positions of bondage, right? Very, very cool form of kink, of BDSM, the first B in BDSM. If you have ever experienced anything like this, then please let's hear a comment below. Let us know what you experienced, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. If you have any questions, then please ask below, and I will try to answer, or maybe other people will try to answer for you. Anecdotally, I have done a lot of bondage, the receiving of the tying up. I was a little nervous at first when I first went through it. Just having my hands bound for periods of time, and my legs, and it's a process, like a little bit, and then okay, red, I'm done. It really brings up emotions, because you have to let your body really, really relax. Otherwise, you get tense and really uncomfortable. So you learn how to really relax every single muscle in your body, so it just gets completely and totally relaxed within your being. And then it feels amazing. And then it can store the energy that it's holding, your body's holding, through the tying process. So yes, I hope that gives you some really good tidbits about the bondage. Ask me some questions below again. Like my videos. Thank you for being here. And grab the How to Have a Threesome program. Get the 30% off as soon as you can. It will be available until July 27th when the program is released. All right, thank you so much. It's so good to be here and so good to talk about these juicy topics. And I will see you again next week. Mwah. Much love making.